Hey there, Chad here with another mission in Kerbal Space Program in my series Kerbal Space Program in 2021. This mission is going to take Jeb to the moon. I believe this will be broken up across 3 episodes to keep them kind of bite-sized. So let's go ahead and jump in and make the purchases that are necessary to complete the mission. At the conclusion of the previous mission, we had 847 science points, and I'm going to spend a lot of those. But before I can actually spend a good portion of them in here, I have to upgrade. I'm unable to research further without upgrading the Research and Development Center. So I can buy these previous nodes, and I want to go ahead and do that. These will become handy, and we'll use a couple of these in this particular mission. But next, the other things I need I can't get to. So that means I have to upgrade the research and development facility. And to do that, I right click and hit upgrade. Now it's a hefty cost to upgrade at this point. It's 451,000 units. And we'll go ahead and do that. The first research I want to conduct is heavier rocketry. I think I really want the mainsail engine here. It is a huge upgrade over the Skipper engine. Allows me to do a few things that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. So I'm going to grab that. Next isn't quite as obvious what I want to grab. I can grab 2 more nodes. These are all 160 science points to grab. It never hurts to grab advanced electronics, particularly if you're using probes. This is going to be a manned mission, so I don't really need to worry about power so much, because Jeb can always throw the switch. The rocket engine generates electricity. So battery usage isn't huge. I'll probably slap 1 battery on it, but I don't need to go too crazy there. I don't really need any of that for this particular mission. None of this is great. We have the bigger capsule, but I'm going to make this a solo mission to the moon. Some of these would be necessary to do a 3-person mission. What I'm coming down to is I think I want advanced landing gear because I'd like these substantial struts. It's really the only part here that I really truly need, although eventually the Mark 25 parachute, which is for the larger rockets, the larger capsule rather, will become really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Then the last one is, this is where I really can't decide. I think I'm leaning towards advanced fuel systems. I don't think I need the smaller engines right now. Fairings are amazing, but I don't really need those right now either. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with, you know what, I'm going to go with advanced electronics. Like I said, it never hurts. I don't really need the solar panels right now, but if I did, and if I want to do something separate, that'll work out. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, I'm going to jump into the vehicle assembly building. And through the magic of modern day editing, I actually have a rocket already built to make this mission happen. It's fairly straightforward. It kind of looks a little different. A couple of things to talk about. So I wanted a really wide base for landing to provide some stability. Adding these nodes on the side, this broadens the footprint a little bit, and it is a technique I picked up from a couple of other Kerbal players. Where this gets a little tricky is the landing gear, because of how symmetry works on this. I can only add them in pairs, and the pair is this one and its diagonal partner, and then this one and its diagonal partner. So aligning these so that they're parallel is tedious. You have to pay pretty close attention, and if you look at it, they're lined up pretty much identically. So that will allow for the symmetry of everything to work fine. This isn't too much different than my Min-Miss rocket otherwise. I think it had 3 pods on it. This just has 2. That was to save some weight. I'm not going to be conducting quite as many science experiments for that reason. This is monopropellant, external, and I added the thruster blocks, I added the small ones up here, and this will be really helpful once we cut loose the main part of the rocket, the earlier stages. Also, I've decided to put 3 engines for the lunar portion of the lunar portion of the mission. These spark engines are going to be used for the descent, and I have another engine in here. It is going to be used for leaving, or the ascent of the moon. What I want to do is have it available to me in case this isn't enough power, although it will be. This will actually provide about 4-to-1 thrust to weight ratio on the moon for this stage, so it should be fine. But I also want it to give this engine the ability to borrow the fuel here for getting back. And that's kind of important. As we first take off, I'll want to make sure these, once they're drained, cut them loose to drop the weight. The rest of this, again, fairly straightforward. This is the main cell engine. These are skippers. You can see there's a huge difference in their size. And I've staged this so that fuel is drawn from the outer tanks first, and then these will cut loose, and we should be in orbit. Actually, should be a lot to spare here, although these can always be a little difficult to fly when they've got a lot of drag at the top. So we'll see how well that goes. My test flights were hit and miss, to be perfectly honest. Took a little bit of piloting to get them up, but we will give it a try. So let's head out to the pad. Actually, real quick, I just want to think if there's anything else. May not be obvious. There's a stage here. This is going to be the translunar injection, and it will also decelerate us to make an orbit around the moon. And I'll probably even use it a little bit for descent, at least to slow down our velocity. Then there's a smaller engine here. Actually, the same engine. They're Terrier engines. That sits under here with a smaller fuel tank attached. That's where we're at. Okay, here we go. This is nice and solid. It's very heavy, but the engines will have more than enough kick, so much so that I'm only going to throttle them 2/3. I like to keep my thrust to weight ratio in the lower atmosphere at under 2 and roughly around 1.5, at least until we're out of this first bubble. If you've watched my previous videos, you've seen me kind of try to manage that. So away we go. And we'll start to nose over just a little bit. Rocket is very responsive, and our thrust to weight is already up to 2. If I went full throttle, I think it's way over 3 at this point. But we're going to hold off on that, save a little fuel, get a little altitude. The main cell engine really kicks it up there fast. Starting to get a little bit too much speed there compared to the drag. Trying to kick that over a little bit. Okay, not bad. Not bad. We're already at 20,000 meters for an apo. Really want to start to move some of this thrust in a horizontal motion, or we will blow right through our target altitude. Okay, we're way up here now. I'm going to go ahead and max it out, and that should flame out right about now. There we go. And as you can see, we have a lot of heat building up because we're still fairly low in the atmosphere. I'm going to kill the engine right here. Just let it fly for a minute. Go ahead and set up some maneuver nodes. Okay. 81 and 70, not quite what I would like to do. Wrong way. I'm really good at that. Push them the wrong way all the time. Okay. 71, 77, give it a little more. 80, 76. We'll go with that. That's getting right up there. Okay. So the RCS will help me get this under control to be able to hit that nav node. Using the F key will cut those thrusters so you're not wasting the fuel, because they're either on or off when they're firing. There's not an in between. So something that I had kind of forgotten about is the F key allows you to float it around if you need to spin or something like that without it continuing to accelerate and then having to decelerate all of that. You can accelerate a little bit, give it some time, and then decelerate. You're not using as much fuel that way. Okay, we are in space at this point. This is going to be interesting. It's only a 22-second burn. We still have a ton of energy in this rocket. Here we go. And we're at 1700 delta V, and we're only needing, so we're at 15 now. So we're going to have 800 extra delta V to start pushing us to the moon. And the launch was actually a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. One of them I did was pretty rough. Didn't like that. I turned those off, and so we didn't get where I thought we were going to get. There we go. Not very circular, but it gets us in space. So that's goal one. All right. I probably shouldn't have done a full speed fire there. That was probably not the smartest move. Okay, so how close are we here? 0.3 is well within tolerance for getting to the moon. So I will take that. Our ship is up here. Really the place we want to start our maneuver is going to be here. Add 730. It would give us kind of a funny orbit. But then I could do a second mode really quickly. Oh, there we go. That's more of what I was thinking. So let's do that first. We'll basically run that engine dry, and then we'll fire a second node up over here that hopefully, I guess I can do that now. See what that'll look like. That'll hopefully get us out to the moon. Look at that. All right, now here's something that a commenter on my site pointed out. When you are on a node, you can edit it down here. This is not something that was in KSP initially when I was playing a lot early on. But this is fantastic. This allows me to click these closer, and I can dial it in. This gives me a scale of how many meters per second of fuel I want to use, or energy I want to use, delta V, I guess, to get that to where I want it. That would be really close. So this graphical, it takes a minute to kind of figure out what it's doing, but it basically allows you to click on the node and then move it around and adjust it while you're looking at something over here. So thank you for that tip. That is a new one for me, and I'm, as you can see, using it immediately. So great tip. Now, we're about 6 minutes out. We have a very short burn. There's 10 seconds of fuel left, 10.5. We're going to go ahead and warp to there. Get us nice and close. A little closer than I want it, but that's okay. All right, so here's where I'm holding that F. If I let go of it, Jeb is just going to continue to, well, he's going to continue to try to hold that location. Now that I've said that, I messed it up, so I'm just going to do what I normally do. Push it to get there. Oh, I turned it off. That's what I did. Okay. So we are at time to fire. I'm going to go ahead and do that. A little easier to control at that point because the rocket can be vectored some. let that finish, and we will cut him loose. All right, and we're going to go ahead and fire that stage just for a moment, and we'll kill that. Kill this node, and let's see what that other node looks like now. Yeah, we've drifted a lot. That's due to my poor piloting skills. So I'm going to kill that node. We're going to, whoa, wrong button there. Turn that off. And we're going to place a new one. Place it right about here. That looks good. Focus view. Okay, so showing you that one more time. Click the maneuver, and down here you ultimately click on the graphical maneuver, but I can now dial this in where I want it. Knock that up a few. 11, that's perfect. And I'm roughly in the right plane. I'll take that. Okay, 1:17 out, and it's only a 27-second burn. And we're almost lined up for it now. Now, no reason to wait that whole time. Do some little bitty time compression here. Get it down to about 10 seconds and then be ready to go. All right. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. There it is. So we should see the moon right over here. Yeah, there it is. Now when Jeb levels up, I can tell him to hold that waypoint, and he will manage that for me. I don't have to worry about am I drifting at all. He handles it 100%. And your navigation gets so much better when that's in place. Okay, we'll call it right there. I'm going to kill the node. I don't need it anymore, really. Let's see how close we got. Little too close. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn on RCS, and I'm going to hit N a few times to back this out to where I want it. And that's perfect. That's right where I want it. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, this looks like a good time for a break in this mission and to wrap up this episode, but we will continue this mission in the next. Thanks for watching. Please consider giving a like and a subscribe and maybe even leaving a comment. And until next time, fair travels.